Welcome in. I'm going to do a really easy galaxy tutorial for you today. And I've got my 8x10 canvas here and I have it set vertically. Doesn't matter, whatever way you want. I'm only going to use three colors. We're just going to use alizarin crimson, titanium white, and then just a little bit of cadmium yellow just to flavor the titanium white just a little bit. And then we're going to use liquid clear as well. And the only brushes I'm going to use are the 1-inch brush there and the fan brush. It doesn't matter which size fan brush. I'm gonna use the smaller one today just because my canvas is smaller. That's the only reason. All right, so let's go ahead and get going. So I've got some liquid clear here, and I'm just going to take my 1-inch brush. I'm just going to dip it in just a little bit, just a teensy bit. I might even wipe some off there. You really don't need much. Really don't need much. So I'm going to go ahead and just go ahead and cover this whole thing. I'm going to dab first, just kind of so I get a nice even distribution of this. Just kind of dab all over. All right. And then I'm going to go in with a little crisscross motion, like a figure eight. And then I'm going to go back and forth between that and scrubbing it in, because like I said, you really want this to be a thin coat. One advantage to having it a really thin coat like this is it dries faster. And I'm using the Bob Ross oil paints, and these take generally like 2 to 3 weeks to dry, just depending on where you live and everything. I live in Florida, so it's a little humid here, so it dry a little faster in the winter, but winter in Florida, winter. Scrubbing that in real good there. I got a little blank spot right there. I'm just going to steal some from up here. Bring it down there. And maybe just a tad more. Just a tad more. Just a drop. Just a drop or two. And then one good way to test, see if you have enough, take your finger and just kind of touch it. If it springs back, that's good. I'm just gonna wipe off where I touched there. The same thing, back and forth, up and down. Just make sure it's nice and even. All right. And then I'm just gonna wipe off the excess here. Just on a paper towel. All right. And then we're going to put a transparent coat on alizarin crimson. So you can essentially do this painting with any transparent color. So you can do it with alizarin crimson, phthalo blue, phthalo green, sap green, Indian yellow. That's about the only yellow that'll be transparent enough for this. Prussian blue. Show you my gigantic palette here. So like I said, I only have 3 colors here today. So we're going to go into our alizarin crimson. And I'm just going to use same old 1-inch brush there. And I'm going to just kind of tap in. Just going to tap it in to get an even distribution of the color onto the brush. All right, it's pretty good. And then, doesn't matter how you put it on, crisscross or straight up and down, doesn't really matter. I'm just going to cover the whole thing. Actually, I'm not even going to be even about it, because it's spaced. And I'm going to touch just to see. And yeah, let's see. That's pretty good there. So you can see the color on my finger. So that means we got enough color there. So again, I'll just go back in and there we go. Let's brush out my fingerprint there. All right, so that's good. Kind of hard to see right now because like I said, it's a transparent color, but it's mostly red. There's a couple splotches of black. All right. So now, get into the fun part. Before I do that, I'll just wipe off the brush a little bit there. Just wipe the excess off. Same thing, just put it in the palm of my hand, just kind of give it a twirl. Same thing over here. Twirly, twirly, twirly. That's pretty good. All right. So now, go in with my fan brush. Back up to the palette here. And we're going to go into, oh, let's see. Yeah, I think I'm just going to just tap a little bit, just a little bit of that yellow into that white there. Mostly white, mostly white. It's a hint of yellow. So again, to load it, I'm just tapping it. Oop, there you go. Now you can see. Tap, 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 tap. That's all. But see how it's just very slightly, just slightly colored with yellow. Just a hint. All right. So there's a couple ways you can put in your little nebula. You can either go in and just kind of haphazardly kind of like twist like that, or the fun way, you can do this motion. So I can show you that one too real quick. So you can do that way as well. You get some really, really interesting things doing it that way. Cool. I'll do a little bit over here too. Neat. All right. Put my liquid clear aside. I'm just gonna wipe off my brush real quick there. Just wiping it off with a paper towel. That's it. That's it. Let's see, pretty much all that red is gone. All right, now I'm gonna go back in with my 1-inch brush, and we're just gonna take that and we're going to go in and we're just gonna blend away certain parts. So I'm just gonna go in and kind of like with a half circular kind of motion. So I'm just kind of tapping away at it. Now remember, when you're doing this, you don't want to get rid of all of your nice black areas there. I want to keep some of that. You can blend away some areas more than others. And we're going to go back in and we're going to do another passing of the fan brush. Let's do a little bit over here. But that fading out part, that's really what makes it look spacey and like a nebula. And try to keep the edges and corners dark for the most part. I really like that nice bright area right there. Now let's blend out a little bit more over here. But of course, this is completely up to you how much you want to blend. I'm going to wipe off my brush there. Let's wipe off the excess paint so I can go in and just use the brush for blending. You could even do like a little design, like you can make it look like a seahorse. This almost looks like a phoenix, you know, with a little like bird body there, a wing there, a long tail there. And then that's how they name some nebulas like that. There's like a horse nebula. Do a little bit more here. Okay. That's pretty good there. So, like I said, I'm going to go in one more time with the white and the yellow and kind of strengthen these light areas here. Let's see here. Yep. So same thing. I'm just going to go into this white with a hint of yellow. There you go. And you don't need much. You don't need much paint. And same deal. I'm just gonna go in and kind of do that little like twisty motion again. Maybe go a little further into this area here. And maybe I'll blend away some of this with the fan brush too. I'm gonna flip my brush over because, as you can see, that corner of the brush I was using is all red now. So we'll flip over to the other corner that has paint on it still. So again, I'll just going over like the light parts that I want to strengthen and make lighter. And you can do this as many times as you want. Make new areas. Then go back into the other side, kind of blend it out a little bit. I'll wipe off my brush there. Wipe off all the paint that we picked up there. And I wanted just a tad bit brighter right there. Just a little bit. So I just put a little more of that white just on this corner of the brush here. So I'm just kind of just very, very selectively tapping in here. And then I'm going to use the other corner of my fan brush to blend just a couple parts out. Not much here. And just kind of tapping and scrubbing to blend there. And again, very selectively. So some parts I'm keeping very, very bright. Some parts I'm fading away. I'll fade this area away a little more since it's going into the darkness. There we go. Blend it away into the darkness. All right. So we got a pretty cool looking nebula there. I think I'll keep it right there. So I think that's a good mixture. We have our really light areas. We have our really dark areas still around the corners and edges and everything. And then we got the in-between stuff. And then I'm just going to do one more thing to finish this off. This is the really fun part. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take a little bit of paint thinner. I'm going to dip my my fan brush into paint thinner and mix it with that titanium white. I'm going to go ahead. You can use just plain old titanium white. I'm going to use the titanium white with a hint of yellow. Doesn't really matter. We're going to make stars. So dip my brush here with some paint thinner. And I'll show you. It's going to get a little liquidy here. So it's going to drip down a little bit. That's okay. I think that's about the consistency I want. So it's, you can see that it's, oh, there it goes. You can see that it's not dripping anymore. So when I first applied the paint thinner, it was really runny, like ink. So we want it just a little bit thicker than that. So basically, when it stops dripping, that's the consistency you want. All right. So this next part here, I want you to look at the palette cam that's directly below me, because what I'm going to do is practice. This is always good. Practice. You can practice anything on your palette or a paper plate if you want to. You can practice mountains. You can practice trees on your palette before you actually do it on the canvas. That way, you know, if it's on the palette, you can just scrape it away. Not a big deal. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the knife, just hold it in one hand, take the fan brush with that color on it, and we're going to flick it. We're going to flick it against that knife. So I'll show you down here first on the palette cam. So we're going to do it like that. There we go. So you can kind of see, I'll show you up here. So against the dark there. So there you go. See other splatters? So that's basically what we're going to do up there. All right. You ready? Okay, here we go. Here we go. Bravery test. And it depends how far you are away from the painting as well, how big the stars are going to be. So you I start about like a foot away. And I start softly as well, just to kind of see how it's going. So I just flick, 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 flick. And you can do as many stars as you want. You can do a whole bunch. You can do just a few. Get a little closer and do bigger stars. You can do more stars in the dark areas because they're going to show up more if you want. But slow and steady. Slow and steady. That way you know exactly exactly how they're going and where they're going. And then when you're getting to the about the end, and then go slower and like maybe another flick, maybe another flick. Yeah. So I think that's good right there. So yeah, that's it. Just a really, really, really simple galaxy painting, and that took 20 minutes. Can you believe that? Alrighty. Yeah, experiment with this, try different colors, and yeah, have fun with this. All right. Thanks for watching.